Good, good evening. My name is Karen Kirk and I'm the group leader. This evening we'll be presenting on the generation of computer. These are my group members. The presentation will take the following outline. Here are the 5 generation of computers and conclusion. The aim of this presentation is to give you, the viewers, the opportunity to grasp key knowledge on computer evolution from the 5-year generation. Before I start the presentation, I have a quote from Benjamin Franklin, which says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." I will now hand over to Rahim Duke as he continues the presentation.
Good. So we'll be talking about the first generation of computers. First generation of computers, they were created from 1946, 1959. The nature of computer technology during this era. The computer of the first generation used vacuum tubes as the basic components for memory and circuitry in the CPU. Mainly batch processing operating system was used. Punch cards, paper tape, and the magnetic type was used as input and output devices. First generation computer relied on the lowest level machine language in order to perform operation and could only solve a single problem at a point in time. Technology used for processing. First generation computer used the vacuum tubes as the basic component for memory and circuitry for the CPU. The vacuum tubes were electrical devices that act as on and off switches or as amplifier. Vacuum tubes contain electrodes to control the flow of electrons. The first generation of computer used machine language. Here we have some advantages and disadvantages of the first generation of computers. Advantages. Pioneering technology, large-scale calculation, improved data storage, specialized applications, and they were reliable. Some disadvantages are they're very large in size, very expensive to make, limited speed, limited memory, and they had high maintenance. Here we have some pictures. We have ENIAC computer. Then we have UNIVAC computer. And finally, EDVAC computer. I now hand you over to my colleague, Urindale Prasad.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Duke. Second generation of computers I'll be presenting on. Now, the approximate time of the generation. It was during the period of 1957 to 1963, according to research on the internet. These computers used transistors instead of the vacuum tube, right? Now, that was used to develop the first generation, as we know, according to what my previous colleague said. Now, this generation of computers was built using a high-level programming language, such as COBOL, or as we may say, Common Business Objectives Language, or Fortran, Formula Translator. Assembly language was used in programming second-generation computers, as we all may know. Now, we have some advantages and disadvantages of the second generation computers. For the advantages, they had smaller form factors and were more reliable than their predecessors. Because when computers were first invented, they were almost the size of a room, I should say. And as they keep advancing, they become more smaller or more compact. They consume less power because of new technology being implemented. Now, these vacuum tubes, as we may know, have stored a lot of heat, or they would generate a lot of heat, I should say. And this would cause the room to be hot and so on. So as the technology advances, they may tend to come up with more ideas to consume less power, generate less heat. In addition, they increase precision and mobility. Now, they also made it much faster and it was used for commercial purposes. Disadvantages. They still needed a cool room, even though it generated less heat, because these computers were still, even though it was a bit more compact than the first generation, it was still large. They needed regular maintenance, and also because of the type of work they usually get done. Manual labor was needed because it was difficult to automate those computers at the said time. Punch cards were still utilized to input these type of data, as we may know. Now we have here some of the pictures of the second generation computers, for example, the RCA 501, right? As we can see, they still have the magnetic tapes in the background and to store information and so on. And then we have somebody operating in the front here, which is using the buttons that is at the table. Then we have a picture of the Transact S2000, right? As we can see here, still yet again, we have the magnetic tapes in the background in the case, and also next to the chair we have, I would say now, a really large keyboard. Next we have the Univac 1108. Now this one here is, as we can see on the table-like structure here, it has the monitor at the far right and a small keyboard setup that is on something that we may know it today as the Big Back TV. And for storage purposes, we still have the magnetic tapes at the back and everything else that is used for the second generation computers. Now, I would like to introduce my colleague Shakil Sparman that would be doing the presentation on third generation computers.
Third generation computers. The third generation computers are advanced from first and second generation computers. The third generation computers had started in 1965 and it ended around 1971. The nature of computer technology used during that period. The third generation of computers used integrated circuits instead of transistors technology. That was used in computers of second generation. An integrated circuit is a small chip that the trademark of the computers of third generation. The integrated circuit used in third generation computers can work as computer memory, microprocessors, or even an amplifier. The first to develop the idea of the integrated circuit was Robert Noyce. Technology used for processing and the language used. The third generation computer was developed to achieve high-speed data processing for various scientific tasks, such as weather forecasting, space exploration, theoretical astronomy, and subatomic physics. The third generation computer used languages such as BASIC COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, C++, Perl, and ADA. One of the latest and most popular language used and hit the trademark market was called Java. Advantages and disadvantages of the third generation computers. For advantages, they were more reliable, they used less energy, they use a mouse and keyboard for input. It could also be used for high-level language. It also had high storage than the previous generations. For disadvantages, air condition was required. The integrated circuits were also difficult to repair. Also, the computers were very costly. Here are some pictures of third generation computers. The first we have here is the IBM 360.
Also, we have the Honeywell 6000 series. We also have the IBM 370. I would now like to invite Ivor Trotz, who will be dealing on the fourth generation of computers.
Good day, everyone. Fourth generation of computers were between the period 1971 to 1980. The fourth generation computers were made using very large scale integration technology, VLSI. Tens of thousands of components were packed on a single silicon chip called a microprocessor. The magnetic core memories were replaced by semiconductor memories. Technologies like multiprocessing, multi-programming, time sharing, operating speed, and virtual memory made it a more user-friendly and customary device. The concept of private computers and computer networks came into being with the fourth generation. The most significant development in software for the development of concurrent programming languages like ADA was used for the fourth generation of computers. Here we have the structural view of a microprocessor, which was used in the fourth generation. A few advantages of the fourth generation of computers were that they were faster, cheaper, smaller, and more reliable than their predecessors. They required almost no maintenance costs, and they had larger storage capacity than the third generation of computers. On the contrary, the latest technology is required for manufacturing of microprocessors and required high technical skills. Even after generating little heat, they required fans to cool the internal components. Here are a few images displaying computers from the fourth generation. I'll now hand you over to Darren Griffith, explain fifth generation of computers.
Fifth generation computers. So this computer started in 1980 until present day. Each of this computer. This generation is based on parallel processing hardware and AI, artificial intelligence software. So AI is an emerging branch in computer science, which interprets the means and method of making computers think like human beings. The technology used for processing. So this uses ultra large scale integration ULSI technology and parallel processing method. So the ULSI uses millions of transistors on a single microchip. And the parallel processing method use two or more microprocessors to run tasks simultaneously. This basically makes the computer works faster. So this generation understands natural human language. This is like Siri on your cell phones. You could just say, hey Siri, play music, and she would execute the task. Advantages and disadvantages of the fifth generation computers. Advantages are they are extremely fast and they have great memory storage. They can communicate with humans. They're very cheap and more user-friendly than the previous computers with multimedia features. And it is very easy to take these computers from one place to another and repair them. Some disadvantages will be the people will get too dependent, they aid in job loss to some extent, and they could give more power to companies to watch what you are doing, even allow them to infect your computer, infect your computer. Here are some pictures of the 5th generation computers. You can see laptop, tablet, and smartphones. Now invite Yunkorp to continue with this presentation.
Okay, to conclude it, there are 5 generations of computer, and as the year progressed forward from the 4th generation to present generation, it can be seen that computers have reduced in size and increased in their technology, and there are high possibility of more advanced technology in years to come. Are there any questions?